So when you found out, once you were diagnosed, what was your reaction? What did you do?
My life is fucking over.
Hmm.
I gave up, 100% gave up.
And
I
then,
said my life is fucking over.
so did you spiral into a lot of drugs after that?
Oh, 100%, dude. Like I made sure I went as far down as I could
Wow.
because I had zero hope.
So you were involved
Yeah.
in the rave scene and all that, and then you just decided one day, or
Yeah.
did you always know, no matter what was going on?
No matter what was going on, that I was going to join the military.
Gotcha.
No
So
matter what.
when you enlisted, were you still involved in the drug culture?
So I stopped for a little bit just because I got caught.
Okay.
Yeah,
Scared you
so-
straight a little bit.
Yeah, so I got caught by my parents actually, and they found my fucking shoebox.
Oh, not the shoebox.
I call it the
Oh,
shoebox
boy.
of love, man. It was a Van shoebox, and
Of course, it's a Vans shoebox.
yeah, dude. I mean, if you're from the like L.A. area or the South Bay, you know, like Vans was like a big thing.
They're
you
a
know?
staple.
And like I was a skateboarder too growing up, and
They're a skater brand. Yeah.
I had everything you could, not everything, but like you had things that you could see, you know, and like they were more mad about me not using the drugs. It was me doing other things with the drugs.
Yeah.
And I understand. And then they were actually really mad because like I also have Asian parents, bro. So like Asian parents finding out your kid is doing X, Y, and Z. And my stepdad is he's from St. Louis, Missouri, a white guy, kind of privileged. Like they weren't happy with what they found,
Yeah.
And they also found a lot of other things. So I was like, you know what? Like I'm young, I'm stupid. Like I'll just give this shit up. You know, like I'll give it up because like my dream is to join the military, try to be the best, like, airman as I can be, and like just try to be the best person as I can be. Because like even at that age, at 16, man, like I knew I was like doing something wrong, and I
Right.
knew that like this is either going to be my pinnacle moment. I'm either going to be a fuck up or I'm going to succeed, and that's how I looked at it.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to try to do the best as I can as a human being,
Right.
So I joined, did the whole paperwork, and like I already chose my MOS. I scored pretty high on the test. And then shortly after, it was like just right before I turned 17 and like maybe months away of like fully getting sent, right? I found out I was type 1 diabetic. And I was like, what the fuck am I what?
Wow.
I was type 1 diabetic, man. And I knew I was becoming a diabetic was because of my brother,
Because he was type 1.
Yeah, so my brother and I were just like about less than a year apart or more than a year apart, right? So we're practically like twins, right?
Right.
So I saw him go through the stages of diabetes, with like, waking up in the middle of the night just to pee, constantly eating ice, like, so I knew I was going through that same thing, right? So I thought like it was one day, like I had taken a bunch of ecstasy and funny, I was still in school, and like I was like rolling balls in school and
This is all as a minor. So
sad, dude, sad, man. I was like doing all that and I get like vitally sick, dude, like vitally sick, man. Like I was like sick for a week. But then I slowly felt like the symptoms coming, like I was waking up in the middle of the night, I was like, whoa, like just to pee, like what's going on here, And then like I'm constantly drinking water and eating ice, and I'm like, yep, I'm diabetic. But I was just trying to knuckle it. I was like, don't f***ing go to the doctor. Don't go to the doctor, because I knew I was gonna get disqualified. Don't confirm shit. Just knuckle it,
So when you found out, once you were diagnosed, what was your reaction? What did you do?
My life is f***ing over. I gave up. 100% gave up.
And
I
then-
said my life is f***ing over.
So did you spiral into a lot of drugs after that?
Oh, 100%, dude. Like I made sure I went as far down as I could.
Wow.
Because I had zero hope, bro. Like, and not to sound like, a very low person or emotional person, but like, and the only reason why like I had gotten to that very last point was because of like the series of events prior to that too. It was like,
You thought it was your only way out.
yeah, it was like my way to escape my bullshit, and I was hoping that like that was my like future for like well, you know, like you don't know the truth of everything just
Right.
yet. You know, you just have a perception of what you think of a better life would be, right?
So what was rock bottom for you after that period or throughout that? Well, that period. So now this is the period where you're homeless. Yes.
No, so I was still a teenager at this time, and I was 17. I was homeless for a very short time. I was like probably 19 already. You know, I
But
didn't.
throughout that period from 17 to 19, a lot of the drugs.
A lot of drugs, dude. A lot of drugs.
Lot of
man.
drugs.
I
Jail?
was, yeah. First encounterment, and that shit was like kind of what like kind of opened my eyes to everything, right?
Being in jail. With
Being
these
in
guys,
jail
people.
and being in all these rehabs, and at that time I had done my second 5150. I had already been, I think, into 3 rehabs.
What's a 5150?
Watch.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I had done 2 already. I'd done one at 17 and one at 19.
Did you attempt?
Oh yes.
Okay.
The second one, oh yeah, guarantee.
Wow.
You know, and the only reason why is because like at that time, man, I felt like there was no hope left.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know what to do with my life. I felt like anything I touched just turned black, and I fucked it up. You know, but the truth of it was, I didn't know who I was.
Right.
You know, I didn't know who I was.
Right.
I didn't know which way to go in life. I had ideas of like what better life would have been, right? Because at 19, I had stepped into my first like my third like inpatient program, right?
Okay.
And like I did a little stint there just because like I wanted to like kind of learn more about myself and learn more about like, all right, like what the fuck's really going on,
Yeah.
you know? And like I was like actually getting court ordered too, so if I didn't pass it, I'm you know, and I didn't want to be
Right.
and so I was like, all right, let me utilize this to my best advantage, you know. And everything you kind of learn through the program and stuff, like you learn within like a lot about yourself. And man, like I felt like I was just a lost cause.
From that point, what turned it around for you?
I'll tell you this, man, what turned it around was being in that program, washing dishes.
Really?
As sad as that sounds.
How did that happen? What was the thought process there?
All right. So you're in this program, right? And like you're kind of given duties, you know, like you're a kitchen duty, you're a gardener, you do this, you do that, right? And like a lot of this is teaching you how to be a better individual, whether it's work ethic, whether it was personal growth, any type of like behavioral kind of thing, you know? So like at that point, I was just willing to change my life. You know,
You needed something.
Yeah, I needed to change my life, but I wasn't, you know.
So like you didn't think it was worth saving at that point just yet.
I felt like I still had like a little more knucklehead in me, you know, like
Right.
a little more knucklehead.
Just a little more.
I have to cheers you to that because like, so from 19 to about 22, man, I was a fucking shithead again.
So
you know?
meaning what specifically for the
Man,
audience?
a lot of drugs, a lot of partying, a lot of trouble, a lot of like rehabs again, a lot of, you know, like in and out, in and out, in and out.
So
you know?
from what was the point after that? What was that rock bottom then that turned it around for you?
It was a simple moment, actually. Okay. It was a moment where I was at a bus stop. I was already out of rehabs and out of jail and out of programs, out of everything.
But you had been homeless already at that point.
I already been homeless. I was like, I think living with my parents at the time, you know, because I just got out, right. You know, and trying to figure out life. And I think I was working at some pharmacy, you know, wishing for better.
Wow.
That's
like, a trip that you'd go through all that, then work at a pharmacy.
Dude, but I'll tell you what, I used to work at a Rite Aid, and I was serving Thrifty's ice cream.
Oh.
Like a champion.
My mom
that shit was perfect every time.
My mom always talked about how much she loved Thrifty's ice cream growing up. That was like, it was one of her
It's hands down one of the best ice creams out there for me.
It kind of is, yeah.
It's actually good. It's nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's nostalgia. And it's funny, man, because like I would try to get that perfect like layer and then that squareness, like so you got some overflow and
I gotta put pictures of that. I gotta find that online.
Yeah, it's super funny. And so like I was already out, man, and I was sitting at a bus stop, and then in LA, like depending where you live at, sometimes you can see the mountains, right?
Yeah.
You could see the snow caps. So I think it was like sometime mid-year or early year or late year. And I remember telling myself like, dude, you have 3 options in life. You're either gonna fucking die, you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life, or you're going to keep doing the same bullshit over and over and over and over again. And I was in my mid-20s, man, or like I was probably like 24 or some shit like
Almost
that.
mid-20s, yeah.
Almost mid-20s, you know. And like I literally had seen life pass me. Everyone that I knew in high school that was like kind of on the same board was either in the same amount of trouble as I was in, gone, or like f***ed off, you know. And I was like, well, fuck that, I don't want that. And then I seen guys at the same age as I was like succeeding in life, and I was like very, I wouldn't say jealous, but I was like amazed, you know, like you can actually be a good dude, you know. And like I was just like, man, or like you could actually do something with your life, you know. And I'm over here thinking like I was living the best life of my time, you know. And like, and the only reason why I was so addicted to it was because I was getting more than what like the normal folk was getting, you know. But the normal folk wasn't also getting in trouble,
Right.
you know. And,
Yeah.
and having to suffer through certain sacrifices.
Easy money comes at a price sometimes.
Exactly. It comes at a price every time, you know. And so fast forward, right? So I was at this pinnacle moment, man, and I was like at a bus stop. And I had already been a chef, not a chef, but I had been a cook, a dishwasher for a few years, you know, at the time too. And I was like, if you don't make a choice now of changing your life, you're never going to change your life. Just because you kind of hear stories from other people and you kind of hear like other people's like, you know, motivational speech or this or that, you know, and like a lot of the times I related to a lot of these people and, you know, I felt a connection and I felt and then the other thing too was like seeing like who were literally nothing, like 100% from the dirt became something, you know. Like I don't want to, you know, say who I've met, but like, you know, I've met some people like, and I hear their stories, right? I'm like, you were from where and did what, and you've been gone for how long, and your life is great today. Yeah, that shit's attractive. Yeah, you know, like I kind of have the same similar life, and I'm like, dude, and I hate my life, man. Like I didn't like the way I was living, you know, and the same chaotic bullshit going on, you know. And then when I saw that, and I was like, yeah, man, like that shit inspired me.
I can do that,
you know. Yeah. And it's funny, dude, like and then leading into the industry, right, as being a chef, I'm like, dude, we're all similar assholes.
Right? You know, and there's a camaraderie you feel there. So how did you get from that into food?
This is funny.
Okay.
I was in rehab, bro, washing plastic dishes. Oh. And I loved it, man. Something about like these, like, you know, I would say patients, right? You know, them just throwing their plate at me and then me catching it and washing it just felt so good. I don't know why.
Was this after you made the decision, like, they can do that with their life? People that are successful where I came from, now I can do that too?
I think it was around the same time.
So it kind of gave you that hope.
It gave me some hope, you know. It gave me hope because it opened up the mind to, like, what I felt like as a kid. Like, you know what? I love food, you know? And, like, kind of like the lifestyle that I had and, like, kind of what the industry is, right? Like, I felt like I was, like, that nobody, you know, that kind of, like, walked around life, you know? And, like, found something to feel like that's who I am as a person today, you know. Like I found like kind of my validation, you know. And I was like literally washing dishes. I was like a 19-year-old young kid. This is before the tattoos, before the long hair, just a young idiot who likes to do drugs and party and live on the streets and get into trouble. I was washing dishes, hearing the cooks yell at like the servers, or like the cook yelling at like the next, you know, patient like serving food. And I was like, this is cool. And then like later in the day, like, you know, we're listening to music, we're prepping for like the next meal, the next like, you know, like seating or whatever, because we had to eat like 3 times a day. And like and then like there was a camaraderie behind that, like seeing like, all right, then this is just for me, man. Like I was a youngster in this program, you know, like there was like probably about 100 of us men, right? And like I was the youngest, like out of a lot of the dudes there, you know. A lot of them were like 30s and 40s, 50s, a lot of prison inmates, a lot of like, you know, long stints of homelessness, long stints of drug use, long stints of like fuck-uppery is what I would call it, you know. And a lot of these like older men like who wanted to change their lives like kind of guided me, you know. It was like, hey man, like you have a small experience of that bad life. If you want a bigger one, leave the program and really live that life, you know, or you're going to come back here my age, you know. And that used to scare me, you know, that used to scare the fuck out of me, like thinking like, imagine being a 45-year-old man who has 3 kids, been to prison 17 times, barely saw his wife, and like is in another rehab, you know. And I was like,
And probably won't be his last.
yeah, and you know, and or like you see some of them make it, right? And you're like, dude, like he threw away a lot of his life, you know. And thank whatever person you want to believe, like that they're a better person today.
You can say thank God. It's okay.
Yeah, dude, like thank God, like they're a better f***er today, you know. And so like that inspired me too. And a lot of those guys were like willing to show me like a better life, you know. And like that was f***ing attracted to me, you know. So like me preparing food or me like washing their dishes was almost like an inspiration of like, man, like we're all getting together to be better people, you know. And I felt like food is what made me a better person, because like literally the kitchen's a fucking war zone.
Yeah,
you know, like
I've walked back there sometimes and
on
like,
a busy service. Like if it's busy, and like, you know, I talk about certain properties that I used to work for in hotels, I'm yelling at you, I'm a fucking prick, you know. and I don't do it to be rude or nothing. It's just the heat of the moment, you know. And it's like afterwards, like I'll tell you I love you, man, and I'm sorry that I was a douchebag, but it was just the heat of the moment. And thank you for listening and helping me get through service, you know. A lot of chefs don't do that, by the way.
No.
Well, a lot of them is like, fuck you, leave.
I know. Well, a lot of it, like I said before at the beginning, a lot of it's ego. A lot of it's ego, and it's a lot of that. But no, I like I said, I walked back there. and I'm like, this is intense. I can feel, even if no one's saying anything, I'm like, I can hear a lot of cutting. I can hear a lot of chopping, angry chopping.
Yeah,
something going down.
When you hear puta or pendejo more than 5 times in one sentence, something's up, dude. You know.
Pendejo, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll still have to bleep those because they are customers in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
But no, you're good. It's every episode. It's fine. I say it a lot.
No, it's funny, man, because like, so that's how I fell in love with the industry, man. It was just like, and this is my story. It's like I found something that I thought could bring positive value to other people while I'm trying to work on myself, because I'm a broken, you know.
Right.
And like, and I don't mind saying that because I was a broken person, man. Like I really felt like I didn't fit into life. I felt like anything I tried or touched was fucking black and broken, you know. I felt like anything that like I thought I was of a person just didn't mean nothing, you know. So like I gave up, you know. For lack of better words, like I kind of gave up in life, man. And like as sad as that sounds, but thank God like something gave me more value to life.
So what was your first cooking gig?
Man, I was working. I was, I think, 19 or 20 years old, man. I was in San Pedro, bro. I worked for this Mexican restaurant. I forgot the name. Dude, everybody in that whole kitchen spoke 0 English.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Bro,
probably the best food, though.
It was pretty good, but it was kind of funny, man, because like I was fresh out of rehab. You know, this was like my, I think, 3rd rehab and like kind of long stint of like kind of like staying clean and right, you know. So I got a job there, and they asked me if I could work like every day, and I was like, what the sure, you know. I was like, there's no really legalities behind small restaurants, you know.
Yeah,
they're just like, oh, okay, we'll pay you every hour you're here kind of thing, you
as
know.
long as they pay you.
You know what's funny? Like I low-key felt bad on my last day, so I think I left my last paycheck there because like I was like, it was like maybe a day's worth of work, and I was like, I think y'all need this more than me, so I like left it. But dude, like it was a very like humbling moment though, because like I worked in an environment when no one spoke English. There was only one guy. He was the dishwasher. He was the cook. He was the chef. And if he needed be, he was the busser, wow. And I mad respect this dude. I'm like, wow, like for like, let's say a 20-person restaurant, right? And you only had like 3 people working there. That's a lot of shit to do.
Yeah. Well, there's this one. See, that's the thing. That's the interesting thing. Like, even when it comes to like ownership, the best places I've ever been to. There's one place that I grew up going to. My mom loved that place, so we always went there when we could. Is called Pyloon in the city of Downey. Shout out to Pyloon. And the owner is named Sal. He took it over from another owner that was very sweet. I can't remember her name right now, but Sal took it over. And on busy days, to this day, and this was years ago, to this day, he will be the host. He will be the server.
Always.
He will. There's no ego involved. I've never worked behind the scenes with him, but I know he's a very good man. And his daughter works every once in a while. It's kind of a family thing.
Yeah.
But everybody that's worked there in the past 40 years comes back to work there every once in a while. They love the place, and he will be your server. He will be anything he needs to be.
Yep.
And the thing is, that's the best. And I love that guy. He's great.
Yeah.
He's a great man, busy man. But he can be in the back, but he's never above it.
No.
And that's why I always measured every restaurant I was ever at by that. Like, if you're the owner, and he's the owner, his brother is one of the chefs, and they're partners, and it's great. And the guy's been cooking probably for 30 years behind that, in that kitchen. They do it all.
Yeah.
And, you have a lot of respect for those people because those are good men.
I literally just ate at a restaurant with a friend in San Pedro. I forgot the name. He was the only guy in the building. He was literally taking the orders. Yeah. He was literally cooking the food, and like the food wasn't like let's say 3 Michelin star, 2 Michelin star,
right.
like a Michelin star restaurant. It was just like an eatery, right? And my God, and I was like, man, this guy not only took our order, cooked our food, and gave us our check at the same time. And I was like, this shit's bomb.
Yeah.
Like I tasted almost every ingredient like it had to be, and I literally ordered breakfast food.
Yeah.
And like you could tell, like if breakfast food means a lot, then there's a lot of taste behind it.
Michelin also does not only like Michelin stars, but they do Michelin recommends.
Yeah, there's a lot of Michelin guided.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I'm like, that's really neat.
So I did work for a restaurant that was Michelin guided, and I used to work at Terranea, at least that's what they said, that they were Michelin guided at a restaurant, and that's where I kind of found my way at the same time as a chef, and
Michelin needs to find you guys. I'm just saying.
I think we've been asked, or at least been working with,
I'm sure you will. If you guys keep up what you're doing, you will soon.
Yeah, they brought up James Beard already. And I mean, it's still a long shot. Right. It's a lot of work, and I feel like
trust me, if from all the hotels I've been at, you guys are number one.
We've been trying our best. As a chef, like I love being behind the scenes. Like I like being like the low key ninja. Like when I like to be like
that's
covered.
not an Asian thing. That's just
not to be Asian or nothing. Like I like being the ninja, man. Like you tell me like, all right, do XYZ. I'm gonna do XYZ the best as I can.
Yeah.
And make sure you're gonna love it, and like bam, that was my collaboration.
Never been disappointed with what you've given us, man. I'm telling you. Now,
Thank you.
I want to say you've also done public speaking because of your experiences with drugs and alcohol and rehab and everything like that, and you've given back that way, which I think is impressive. So how did that begin?
So for me, that began as like let's just say being 19, drug addict, alcoholic. We're drinking right now, but
it's controlled.
But for me, this is just my story, because like as you learn through like these programs, and like I'm not gonna say names or affiliates or nothing, but like for me it was just like, I learned a lot from these programs. I learned a lot from like what they stand for and what each like step means, and at least for me, like I have this weird like kind of thing internally too. Like I love like camaraderie. I love helping the next man or the next person or the next human or whatever. Yeah. So I was 19, and they first asked me one time to speak at a teenage facility, and like these were kids that were under 18, like that's when I found drugs. Kids who were like 14, 15, or even younger, or maybe just a bit older, 16, 17, and I completely related to them because one, I was not that much older than them, and two, like that's when I got introduced, and three, like I felt broken shortly after, but like the drugs and the alcohol just mask you so well, that you will literally do anything for what you need, or you're willing to give up, you're willing to sacrifice, or you're willing to do whatever, right? Yeah. And like since I've like face consequences early on, I knew that like, not new, but like I felt like I had a story to share to youngsters or like kids that were younger or like people of within proximity. Like, yo, man, like I have the same problem.
I've been there. I've done that.
I've
At
done
your
that.
age.
Yeah,
Younger.
and like I also told them too, like you're not gonna change until you're ready. If you hear my story, if you feel like you relate to me, you're not gonna help yourself until you're ready to help yourself. You know. Like, I'm not going to give you the bullshit or tell you, like, oh, you're going to change by a certain time. Because, like, that's what people used to tell me. Like, some didn't change till late in their years or didn't even know they were alcoholic till they were 65 and retired.
Yeah.
But made a fortune in their life, you know, built a company.
Didn't end up on the streets. Yeah.
Never ended up. And I used to look at those guys and go, so why'd you stop drinking?
Yeah.
You know, like, you made all this money. But then that's when you think perspective, and then that's when you think, you know, like lifestyle, and that like no matter who the fuck you are, they have this, well, they say we have a disease, you know, and like that's what takes you out.
Yeah.
No matter how old you are, right? So that's how I really got into like public speaking or motivational speaking. It was like I struggled with something for a long time, you know, but through all that, man, I found who I was. Through the dumb shit I've been through everything I've done, you know, there's also this saying, like, the kitchen raises you, right?
How true that is, yeah.
Felt like that's what happened, man.
Yeah.
Like, I found the environment that, like, I was supposed to be in.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? Because, like, sometimes, dude, like, this is funny, right? Because if you've been in the industry long enough, right, you kind of know, like, how demanding it is and how much of attention it needs. And this just goes more than being chefs. Like, this is just working in hospitality, right? It's that we live for other people, you know, or at least we work for other people.
We work for other people. We work to live for other people.
Yeah, we work for other people, which is near say or hearsay because, like, that's also a passion, man. Yeah. And I find that a very positive attribute to have, you know. Look out for your neighbor. Look out for others, you know. Or, like, how can we best serve thee? And knowing that hopefully we get served the same way one day.
Yeah. What does it say? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The
exactly.
Golden rule, yeah.
And that's just simple
philosophy.
Simple philosophy. Like, if I want to be treated in a certain way, I'm going to treat everybody that way I want to be treated, you know? And
that's the thing. I think that's the shocking thing when people are rude. And now, and I love your story. We've talked about it time and time again. I'm always very, I don't want to say surprised, but I'm very proud of where you came from and how far you've come. And because I've seen you work, and it's just, everybody loves you, man. And there's reason for that. You know what I mean? The people, your team love you. You know what I mean? Because they know you.
Best.
Yeah, because you do good. You know,
who doesn't love a funny knucklehead?
Right.
You know,
but, you know, you can tell when somebody's been through a lot, and they use that to their benefit instead of being bitter. Because you can be bitter. It's easy to be bitter, especially in our industry. Because that's a lot of times, you know. Part of the reason why I did this show, and I've talked about this before, and I don't want to belabor this point, but it's because I wanted to show the public what hospitality is like from the inside, from our individual stories, from housekeeping, the kitchen, front of house, back of house, because you're back of house, I'm front of house, you know, and we intermingle a little bit. And that's not even talking about the union stuff, which is completely different. But, you know, on the whole, you know, we honestly have such varied lives, but at the core of it, our core foundation is service.
Always.
So that's a very interesting point, because I always ask the simple questions I email out to people before they start this is, you know, how do you deal with rude guests? Simple questions you would expect people in hospitality to be asked. What do you think of rude guests? What do you think of, you know, the way people treat you and the way people act? And at the front of house, it's very different. That's why I haven't asked a lot of the same questions to you, because your back of house experience is different. But in hospitality, as opposed to restaurants, because they are two different monsters, two different things, what do you think the major difference is in terms, because it's kind of a grinding industry, it can be at times. How do you personally survive that and still see the light at the end of the tunnel?
You know what's funny, man? It's just like, for me, right? Because I know you just asked, like, talked about certain points with like rude guests, service, and like how do you get through that, right? Because
you talked about how it kind of triggered that, because how you see our core is, we talked about that our core is service,
right?
And when someone kind of disrespects that service, and we're like, we're doing this for you, you know?
Yeah. So like, for me, sometimes like it depends. It's a situational, basis, right? Like for example, let's say we f***ed up your food, right? And you're like, dude, what the? And they're yelling at you, spitting at your server, wanting free shit, the whole 9 yards of like just chaos, right?
Hospitality,
right? I love killing people with kindness, within reason, within budget, within like what we can do, right?
Of course.
Be like, you know what, man, or sir, or whatever, I'll be like, you know what, we fucked up. I'm sorry. We'll take responsibility, and we'll do the best we can to make the remaining experience better for you. Whether that's like comping your meal, or not comping your meal, but like that's something
taking
like
a percentage off.
There's like that's some of the things we try to do. We try to take a percentage off. We try to give you more stuff. We're not asking you to come back because we're sorry. We're just like, man, we're sorry that this moment was bad for you. How can we brighten it up for you? But if you're 100% pissed off, you're 100% pissed off.
Some people just want to be angry.
And there's just so many things with, it's also like the level amount of attention you're giving to your guests, too, you can't read them. You don't know what they're going through. You can't justify whether bad day, good day, happy moment, celebration moment, the vibe of people, because we're all not gurus, but, sometimes you can tell, like, they're having a bad moment before they got there. Like, for lack of better terms, or like for a prime example, like let's say husband was fighting with wife before getting to the restaurant.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
And the kids want burgers, but we don't serve burgers on our menu. They want kids pasta.
Which at the front of the house we've tried to fight for a long time.
Right. But we do have some wonderful sliders right now.
Oh my God, yes, finally. And with those garlic fries, they are fire.
With the sliders for happy hour from 3 to 6. Nothing after that, though. But our Wagyu burger is pretty fire.
It is. Just because of your outlook, I want to ask you personally, and cheers, by the way.
Cheers, good.
What are some of your greatest shining moments? What do you think in hospitality? What do you think in terms of food, service, the whole shebang? What are moments that have stuck with you throughout your career?
Oh, man. I think for sure wasn't the money.
No.
I don't get paid that much.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. It's for sure not the money or the glory, For me, it's really, I guess, what I do for you, as sad as that sounds, or as funny as that sounds, or as weird as that sounds.
No.
Right?
But do you have anything that's stuck with you personally? Like, has anybody talked to you?
Yeah, dude. So if
you can share.
Yeah, so there was 2 moments, right? It was, I did a friend's wedding, right? He was my boy, Been friends for some time. We've been sober together at the same time too. And I did his wedding, and it was like no more than I think like 60 people or so.
Okay.
And this was me finding myself as a chef, and I priced it right, did a nice decor, did everything nice, and I was like, I did that, I did that for somebody else.
Yeah.
And he was super happy, and like the best part was I didn't ask him for any money, not a single penny.
You did it at cost?
I did it at cost because like just to afford like the food to feed the amount of heads.
Right.
But that was my gift to him.
Wow.
Because he was my best man. Like he was one of my best friends. And it was the fact that knowing that I have a skill set to help people have a good experience. And I think that's what like fills me up more, is
that
just
drives
knowing
you?
that like I'm enhancing somebody else's life, in a small way, and sometimes I f up other people's lives, like
not on purpose.
Not on purpose. It's just I'm human, like if you ask for like a mid rare and you get like a slightly like medium, it's like, hey, my bad, dude, I was you're working on something else.
You're doing 30 different plates at the same time.
Yeah, dude, it's like,
did you ever see that way the steaks are ranked, but it's like rare, medium rare.
Dude.
What are you doing? Stop it. Ruined.
Sometimes like that is true, but I know.
Look, everybody has their own tastes. My mom gets it butterflied well done. I'm a rare to medium rare. Look, I love my mom. I'm just saying,
always.
Mom, love you, but I always get
Mom
my
too.
steak medium to rare. Yeah,
always.
That's at the
Depending on the cut, sometimes I like a rare cut just because like that. if you cook it right, it's like kind of cold,
Right.
you know, and you take into that first bite, it's almost like a sashimi, and it's just seared perfectly like a black and blue, you know, and then like you get, you know, I don't know, because like some foods you could eat right the right way, you know, like the only foods I like well done is like your taco meat, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to, or like chicken, like you don't want medium rare chicken.
Oh God, no! You get a medium rare chicken, you're.
Well, usually, lately they've reclassified how hot you have to have your pork, so you can have it at a slightly lower degree without getting sick. But that's a whole different story. But the most fulfilling aspect of your job throughout the day, just working in hotels, this is hospitality.
Right.
As working in the kitchen in a hotel, is there a moment where you've, because every once in a while I'll look around and go like, yeah, that's so cool. Usually I walk into the kitchen and I'm like, I love this, because I know where you guys hide your bacon.
Yeah, but please don't touch that.
You learn things in hotels.
Right.
But do you have those moments where you just kind of stand around going, yeah, man, because seeing and looking back from where you've come from to where you are now to where the future holds.
I'll tell you this.
The future holds.
There's a specific moment I've actually felt that, right? I'll tell you where I used to work at too. And I was at Terranea. This was like 2019 or 2018. I forgot when I started.
We started in hotels around the same time.
Okay, so like I used to be Mr. Restaurant because like restaurants were like the booming fast service, like, you know, food, and then hotels is more like I guess like comfort set, you know, like you know, you get your 40 hours a week, if that, you know, or more or whatever. You get benefits, you get pay, you know, like
it's more of a career job.
Yeah, because like restaurants was such a fast life, dude. Like I was on drugs all the time, you know, because like they don't have an HR department. You know, you could do a line of coke right before work and be, you know, completely fine.
He doesn't do this anymore to our current job, so he hasn't done this for years. He is clean.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
So, no, it's funny because like I get that comparison, like restaurant life, hotel life, because they are, and then you have like country clubs and, you know, certain industry.
It is different. It changes, yeah.
So, but hotels, majority, I would say, from my experience, it's been more stability, right? Like knowing that, like, all right, you can create greatness, you can get what you need, but like it's also like there's some stability involved, you know. And that's what I needed was stability, because I'm also diabetic and shit like that, you know. So working in hotels, right, there was a time when I was working at Terranea. We did this outdoor event. It was like a big ass event. It was an Indian wedding. Over 2,000 people.
Those weddings are a trip. There
was a elephant. I was like, holy shit.
That would have been so. I would have been so into that. Oh my God, that would have been cool.
I wanted to ride the elephant. I was like, how'd I get up there? You know, that was cool.
I would have snuck by peanuts.
All I gotta say is they bought the whole fucking hotel. Wow. And it was a nice hotel. Terranea was like, they had bungalows, they had their own golf course, private beach.
An elephant.
There was a mother elephant. It was expensive for them to have it there too.
Where do you get an elephant for a wedding?
Maybe the San Diego or LA Zoo. You could probably rent for a day, but if you had the money. But I remember seeing that shit, right? And like I've never seen more than like I think 300 cooks come together and do a plated 3-service like day. Like we all had a plated breakfast, plated lunch, plated wedding reception dinner. Wow. At 2,500 cooks, and it all had to been executed at the same time. Like almost like Wolfgang Puck. I wouldn't say we're Wolfgang Puck or nothing, but like and like
that level.
But just knowing the level of professionalism, the level of class, the level of like
attention to detail it would have had to have
been. I had never seen 500 cooks work simultaneously almost at the same time, like plating the same thing. Wow. Like one guy, like you literally had like one person like in charge of like one thing. Like you were in charge of steaks, you were in charge of chicken, you were in charge of the fucking one green bean, the one broccolini, the one whatever, you know. Damn. But it was a conveyor line. But how fast, how precise, how everything came out. I was like, wow,
it's amazing.
I say collaborative, like we came together and did that shit.
Wow.
And at that moment I knew like this is what I want to do.
That's amazing.
Like and like of course I've had a few services where like I've had a flawless service where every dish was on point, every temperature was on point, everything was just so great that like recognition was involved. But I was like, no, I don't think the recognition is what makes me happy. I think it's what, you know, the satisfaction of the day-to-day.
It's the quality of your work. See,
Yeah.
and that's where you separate someone who's just doing it to do it and someone who's an artisan. You know, in an industrialized society and assembly line production and all that Henry Ford got us all started on, you lose the artisan aspect of it, and you get into assembly line production where everybody just makes a little piece of something, and there's no craftsman anymore.
No,
But the
man.
beauty of the craftsman mindset, which I believe you have, really sets you apart, and I think it makes for very special situations, and it makes for a very special occasion for anyone just having breakfast. You know what I mean?
It's funny, man, because you know, I've done pop-ups, I've done like, you know, private dinners and stuff, and like, you know, there's always questions I ask. I always ask you like, what's your favorite flavors? What do you like? I usually like working with what you like,
Yeah.
you know, and how can I make what you're thinking come true? You know, like, so if you're thinking of, let's say you're Filipino, you know, and your favorite dish is sinigang, you know, or let's say you're Hispanic and your favorite dish is carne con caldo or whatever, you know, my thing is, okay, I'm a man who's never cooked that before. How can I be better than your mom?
Without telling,
Without
telling her,
saying it.
without saying it.
You know.
See, but again, that's the mark of a craftsman. That's your signature,
Yeah.
I believe. And you know, you've come a long way. You've come a long way, and I don't think people understand. In life, we come across people, and we don't. You know, they always say, "Don't judge a book by its cover." You never know. And that it's good advice, especially in hotels, because you know you have people from all walks of life coming by, and they've been through a lot. But that influences how they work and what they do for you, and especially when it comes to your food, which is why I think what you guys have done, even in our cafeteria for the employees, and I've told you this, the food's gotten way better in the last year since you've been there. You and shout out to Rico. So I'm telling you, you guys, you're my boys because
Rico's my boy, man. I love working with him.
I'm telling you, shout out, come on the show, come on the show. It's one of those things where you know you can feel the love in it, and it's always very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And like I said, you come a long way. You've given back, and you give back. I think every day with what you do, and how you know treat your employees, and how you handle food, your philosophy when it comes to food, and we all appreciate that. And I wanted to thank you so much for being on the show, sharing some of your experiences because you've been through a lot. And is there anything else you want to share?
Yeah, man. If I can end it with anything, it's always, if you have a dream in something, man, or like you have a feeling you want to try something, just fucking go for it. Because you never know where that's going to take you.
Yeah.
Because like, and this is just my experience, you know, I was like such a knucklehead and such a like fucking idiot, you know, like, but I had something in the back of my mind, you know, in the back of my mind was like, all right, since plan A, B, C, D, E, and F didn't work, like I had a list of shit that didn't fucking work for me, you know, like I wasn't good at this, I wasn't good at that,
Military.
you know, the military, like I wasn't, I mean, like, if you had to be really honest, I wasn't good at doing drugs. I kept going to rehab, right?
Good at doing drugs.
I wasn't good at that lifestyle, you know? Yeah. So I came to this realization that, like, if there's something that you like doing, it doesn't matter what the fuck it is. You know, it could be from cooking to finance to entrepreneurship to fucking, if you like basket weaving or playing with whatever the right, give it attention and see where that takes you in life. You know, and the only reason why I say that is right is because like I had this weird thing that I could not stop thinking about while I was in these programs, while I was in like the midst of like my fuckery kind of thing, you know. It was like, I remember, like, I specifically said this hundreds of times and multiple times, like, while I was in rehabs and jails, and that I was going to be a chef, no matter how hard I tried, you know. And like, this was young, 21, 22, young fucking idiot, you know. But thank God that I continued to just to, like, and it wasn't like things got handed to me either. It was like I had to work hard for it. You know, and like I had like a kind of like a step down from other people, from most people, you know, and like it wasn't the amount that you know, it was always about like how much effort you put into it.
Yeah.
Because you can know some shit and still fuck it up. Because I can guarantee tell you all these recipes, all these techniques, but if I don't have any practical application behind it, it means nothing.
That's true.
You know,
That's absolutely
like if
true.
I can't physically show you how I did it, then you could have Google search that shit yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of correlates with life. You know, like I couldn't practice or preach what I felt like I was like preaching to other people, or for lack of better words, trying to teach other people if I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's where a lot of things were like the kitchen life correlated to my personal life, you know, with like trying to move forward or trying to be better, and that's what helped me be better at the same time. You know, I used the same high from drugs and alcohol into the industry.
Yeah.
You know, I chased it.
But you're still doing it. You're still chasing it, which is
Yeah.
important too. But I want to say thank you again for being on the show. Any advice you'd give anybody getting into hospitality in the back end, in kitchen, in any level? Is there any advice you'd give them specifically on how to survive the hotel industry and the food industry in the kitchen and being a chef from your perspective?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them to keep them going?
Don't give up, man. Don't give up, dude. Because it does get tough, you know, and I'll tell you straight up, like, and just from my experience, man, like, from working in different environments, working in different, like, etiquettes and different, because, you know, like, I've owned my own business, you know, I've done my own thing, you know, I've worked for hotels, being a chef now, I was a line cook, a prep cook, dishwasher, all of it.
So you
right?
came up from the bottom.
Oh, 100% from the
Yeah.
bottom, man. I didn't go to school until I got out of the program. You know, like I didn't go to culinary school until I was 21, and I f***ing dropped out too.
There you go. It's never too late.
You know,
man.
it's never too late. But I did go back to college and try to, you know, finish my degree and stuff like that. But
Did you finish your degree?
no, I haven't.
Okay.
I'm one of those guys.
But
it's funny.
you still, you know, you're still making it. You still put in the work and the hours, which is after
Vital.
everything is what it takes.
Yeah, man, and they always talk about like the 10,000 hour rule. You know, in order to be
great.
professional in anything, you'll be 10,000 hours in, and so it's funny, man. Like, don't give up. Like,
Don't
no
give
matter, like, if you love something deeply, whether it's your career or your personal choices or your significant other or whatever, just don't give up.
No.
You know, because it's easy to give up. Like, it's so easy to give up and try something new. But the thing about giving up is that you're always at something new.
Yeah.
There's no longevity. There's no, like, level of, like, you know.
You'll never be good at something if you give up and keep trying new things.
Yeah. But I also don't say, like, because sometimes you have to let go in order to know that you need to do what you need to do.
Right.
You know, because, like, I've left the industry once, you know, to go work in asbestos, lead, and mold. Like, I shot myself low.
There's a future in asbestos. Why not?
Yeah, why not, right? You know, like, let me shoot as low as I can, you know. But I low-key punish myself to know that, like, this is who I'm meant to be. That's the reason why I got the tattoos on my hand, or the tattoos is because, like, all right, this is
a good
permanent.
reminder.
This is permanent. Like, I can't go behind it. you
Right,
know?
right.
And,
Like, why are you doing asbestos if you have chef tattooed on your
like,
knuckle?
who are you? You want to be a what? You're doing what? But you're a chef, you know? But needless to say, man, it's just a constant thing we have to practice, man, because, like, it's just don't give up. You know, like, there's so many times, like, I tell you this in hotels and being in the industry for the years I've been in, is that I wanted to give up a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are honest enough to say that shit, you know? And the reason why I wanted to give up, because it either took too much of my time, or it took too much of this or that. I'm missing out on this or missing out on that.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, like, you're not really missing out on shit, you know? Like, if you love something, the people who are with you will support you, you know?
That's true.
And knowing that they're supporting you, or if they don't support you, that you're doing something that you f***ing love, you know, regardless, you know. And if you love food, or if you love finance, or whatever, that you're constantly putting your heart onto it, I feel like, or I hope and pray that it continues, like, goodness comes your way, you know.
Amen. Well, I appreciate
Like,
that.
I'll tell you, man, like, from my dumb ass, like, 10 years ago to where I'm at today, like, I didn't believe this shit. I'll tell you what, you know. Like, literally 10 years ago, I thought I was either going to be in jail by now or mainly dead. I thought I was dead. You know, like I've had a few like instances and shit, and thank God that I'm in this chair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Rather than the other one. Yeah. Well, luckily California doesn't have the death penalty anymore.
Oh, thank God.
But thank you so much for being on the show, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a
I
pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
I always wanted to have you on because of your stories and just because of your journey. It's always been fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And how you've come out on the other end as an inspiration, literally, to anyone who talks to you, man. And you are beloved, and you will continue to be so. And I look with bated breath at your future and what you're going to achieve, my friend. But thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you so much for tuning into the Inhospitality podcast. I'm Ty Justice, and this is Chef Fernando.
Hospitality doesn't suck.
Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you at check-in.